Hi, I'm Eric with Great Southern Land, and it is a privilege to introduce to you the stunning property, Foggy Hollows. Foggy Hollows is a rare opportunity to own a southern masterpiece with meticulously manicured landscape, gigantic hardwoods, and world-class hunting.
Its 432 acres are nestled in the heart of Alabama's most beautiful terrain, only about 1,000 yards from the upper waters of Lake Jordan and in close proximity to Lake Mitchell and Lake Martin.
When it comes to amenities, Foggy Hollows is second to none. Built with the distinguished outdoorsman in mind, the property boasts a stately hunting cabin, private shooting range, and fully stocked ponds for fishing. While the whitetail hunting is excellent, the wild turkey hunting on this tract is legendary. The beauty of Foggy Hollows runs deeper than what you can see. It gives you a feeling like no other, a place where memories are made and traditions grow roots. I recently had the pleasure of sitting down with its current owner, Terry Carlisle, and discussing this exquisite escape from it all. So Terry, tell us, first-time visitors, what are some of the things, are there comments or things that they find special about Foggy Hollows?
It always fascinates me, the level of surprise. Like when you enter, you're about a quarter of a mile before you get to the cabin. And you follow a little meandering creek, and people are surprised that road follows that creek, and it's quite picturesque. They're surprised that it's back here. It feels very remote, yet it's not. You know, I'm 5 minutes from Clanton. I can get to a grocery store really quick, but it feels like you're out in the middle of nowhere. And then I think the foliage. A lot of people who come here have been on other properties that are primarily pine plantations. Right. Here, it's overwhelmingly hardwood. You have an awful lot of terrain differential here. The elevation changes are very inconsistent with a property that's this close to a river, because it's usually river bottom. Mm-hmm. But this is quite mountainous. It makes it hunt really big. It gives you a tremendous amount of biodiversity, a lot of different varieties of hardwood, as well as the other plant life. So most people who come in here, it's like they're a little shocked that this would be in this location.
Well, Terry, could you tell us a little bit about the history of Foggy Hollows?
Yeah, there are two things I think that are really interesting about this place. One, this, according to my great-grandmother, was the last place that the Creek Indians were assembled before their long walk on the Trail of Tears. So throughout the property, you'll find artifacts. We've got arrowheads and fletching stones and fletching trees and grinding rocks. And then secondly, it was owned by General Jack Hanna. He was the adjutant general of the state of Alabama, and this was his family's property. And they're still a very prominent family in Alabama, and he had a lot to do with Alabama history.
So tell me, what has made Foggy Hollows so special for you and your family?
Well, at the time that we bought it, I had realized that it was really important that young people who had a connection with the land, their value structure seemed to be different. They understood better. You know where your food came from.
Absolutely.
You know, you want to entertain, you learn that it requires work to entertain guests and do it correctly. And so that probably is the most important part of this thing for our family. Was we learned as a family to work together, we learned to entertain our guests together, we learned to have fun together. Mm-hmm. And then we learned a lot of different disciplines, the shooting, the sporting clays, the fishing, and that kind of thing. We polished our skills here together.
Right.
And so that's really kind of what makes it so special. Plus the fact that it's easy to entertain here. It's quick from Birmingham and Montgomery.
So Terry, tell me why did you choose this location out of all the property that you looked at?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. We did look at an awful lot of properties, and frankly, after a while we started saying maybe we're being a little too discriminating. But there were three things that we felt like we needed to satisfy. The first was convenience.
Right.
And then the second thing was security. I knew that my family and my guests were oftentimes going to be here when I wasn't here. I wanted to make sure I was in a good, safe neighborhood. And if you look at the way this property is laid out, one side of it is bordered completely by a creek, which you cannot cross with a large vehicle. The other side is bordered by the Coosa River, and it drops off about 100 feet to the Coosa River. So you're not going to access it that way. And then I'm blessed to have a great neighbor. Alabama Power has 350 acres adjacent to me, which is called project property, which they have security on that property and a helipad should I ever need something like that if there's something unfortunate. So it's just perfect from that standpoint. And then last but not least, obviously, high degree of recreational value.
Right.
So we have really good deer hunting, extraordinary turkey hunting, good small game, 2 ponds, 4.5 miles of interior roads, which they can, play and hike, 4-wheel, that kind of thing, sporting plays. And then we're less than 1,000 yards from Lake Jordan. So I can go turkey hunting in the morning, hop in my boat, catch a limited strike, be back here by 9 o'clock for breakfast.
Not a bad day.
Not a bad day.
I love to ask this question. Can you tell me some of your favorite things about Foggy Hollows?
It's almost hard for me to answer that without getting pretty emotional. When you walk through a property and you see, as long as we've owned this, 18 years. So I've watched this property help raise my children and their friends. And then to the point where, you get to see where they got their first turkey or how they learned to manage an aquatic feature or help clear a road or plant their first field. But more importantly was watching them then learn to share that with other people. And as you and I have talked about before, we did a little academic excellence program here where we would invite kids from their schools to come down and camp out for the weekend and enjoy the outdoors. And then we had another program where we would bring female outdoorsmen down and teach them to shoot a bow, shoot a gun safety. And watching my children go from being the recipient of what this has to offer to being the host for other people.
That's special.
That was special.
No doubt.
And always will be.
Excellent hunting, diverse vegetation, beautiful mature timber, great fishing, prime location, and amenities galore. Foggy Hollows is a property like no other. Call me today for a private tour of this exquisite southern property.